All right, what is up, everybody, and welcome into this week's edition of the South Florida Comedy Calendar. My name is Sebastian Alvarez. I am your host, as I am every single week. And guys, we have a very special edition of the South Florida Comedy Calendar for you today, as we are brought to you by Heal the Earth Foundation. Guys, this is a foundation that is dedicated to bringing regenerative medicine to those who are blind and visually impaired around the world. Visit their website, eradicateblindness.com, guys. You can see it linked in the description of this video as well for more information. And guys, today we will be having a really great interview, but I want to first introduce my co-host of the day, as he is every day we do this show, my man Art Roche. How you doing today, Art?
Sebastian, I was locked in a heated battle with my sleep paralysis demon last night, and I was jolted awake by my boyfriend, who shared with me the news that the Miami Heat finally broke their 10-game losing spree. So let's go Heat, 122-103 against the Charlotte Hornets. Finally, we're here.
There we go. Yeah, that losing spree was crazy. You know, I've never heard it referred to as a losing spree, but yes, no. With the help of Andrew Wiggins' 42 points, the Heat did pull it off and ended Spoelstra's longest losing streak of his entire career. And actually, he might be continuing a brand new losing streak, because there were reports today on Barstool that apparently one of the players might be with his ex-wife. So, yeah, it's true. It was just reported. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think Heat culture runs deeper than that. But man's
knows no wrath like a woman scorned.
There you go. Exactly. But I will say this, guys. We have a really, really great show for you today, because the interview that we have is one of my favorite comedians down here in South Florida. Since I got into the scene, he's always one of those sets that if he goes up, I got to find my way inside to watch it anywhere in South Florida, guys. You can catch him performing not just here in South Florida, but all around the country, honestly. I want everybody here in the studio audience to put your hands together for the very funny Chris Silio.
Yes. Thanks for having me. You're way too good at that, dude. It's scary. I thought you were his sleep paralysis demon. And that would scare the shit out of me. You just were super energetic above me while I woke up.
And just locking you into a show. Like, you're like, oh, I guess I gotta sit here and watch this now. Like,
do you ever scare like girlfriends with too much positivity or something?
Every time. Every time.
You're kind of a lot in the morning, right?
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm a whole lot in the morning, 100%. And I'm also notoriously very positive. Very positive. Yeah, 100%. But dude, Chris, we are really, really happy to have you on the show, man. We're gonna start off with a little bit of the calendar rundown from last week, because we did have a really, really fun weekend of shows happening over at the Miami Improv. We had a bunch of good shows happening. So we had Steve Trevino.
That's
over
right.
there, right?
Sebastian, Steve impressed the hell out of me, man. We talked about him last week. I had not seen him live. You spoke very highly of him and how he was just off the stage as well. And he did not disappoint. After all his shows, he does a thing called The Game with all the staff. I won't give away what the game is, but it was really, really cool. Gets a little bit of gambling involved. So it was awesome. Everybody had a good time.
Nice.
Big shout out to the crew he brought with him. I mean, the guy is basically running a team like I would like to have in the future. He had Alex Reyes coming in, opening it up, getting it going. The guy's a killer.
Mm-hmm.
Dougie Almeida, also who I met for the first time, killer. The guy, I mean, all over touring with Trevino. He also came in and they had a guy, I'm calling him Kyle, the merch monger, who was there, like the manager and the guy dealing with all the merch, I usually get a little bit closer to those people. And the guy was amazing, man. He told me all the stories. He got us really close, and ultimately he got his dark vision to be able to get behind the scenes. And so Dan was there for the second night. He was able to get pictures, videos, a lot of really cool stuff. I even got to meet Sharon Pfeiffer, who's a comedian, actress, who was there to see the show. So shout out to her. She has a play. It's not running anymore, but it's called From Brooklyn to Boca. She's a comedian. Really great, really funny. It was amazing. But definitely, big shout out for Dart Vision to getting out there and getting behind the scenes and getting the shots that we needed. So.
That's right. Yeah, Dart was out there on Saturday getting pictures and getting some B-roll. We have actually something to play from there, right?
Yeah.
Brother, que viva los Estados Unidos. Gracias todos. Big shout out to the comedy calendar. Thank you for giving me love. Thank you for sending out your crew. Thank you for looking after us. Love you, Papo. Thank you. God bless. Miami!
Yeah, man. Shout out Steve, man. He's really a real one. And we got a bunch of more stuff that Dan was able to capture. He's going to be putting, over the next couple of weeks, we'll have a couple of things coming out. And then, and Steve actually collaborated with us on our initial post. So can't wait to see, him collaborate on this one as well.
Love it. I love it, man. Big shout out to all the collaborators that have helped out Comedy Calendar along the way, man.
Amen.
That's the second shout out we got. First one, bit of a burnt bridge with Carlos Mencia, but we'll try and mend that at some point.
How'd you burn a bridge with Mencia?
Well, he keeps bringing it up, number one.
No,
I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad you brought it up, Chris. I'm glad you brought it up because we had Carlos Mencia give a really heartfelt shout out to the Comedy Calendar, and we were able to film it. We put it up on the show, and it was great. It was the first time we'd ever gotten a comic, like a headliner, to really give us some love. And one day we were here on the show, and this guy went and stole one of his jokes. He did the
You stole a Carlos Mencia joke?
He stole a Carlos Mencia joke. Just
That's fair.
On camera.
That's fine.
On camera. But I was like, dude, you're gonna blow the lid on everything. Like, this is like
Our one shot.
Our one shot, yeah. But at least now we have Steve Trevino, so just try not to steal any of his jokes, okay?
I'm good.
I bombed so hard in front of Mencia one time that I just walked out of the place like a grenade had just went off. Dude. I might as well have called the Uber from on stage. That's how fast I was, dude.
Where was it?
We used to run a show called Barter in Wynwood.
Okay.
It was literally like a big nightclub, not great for comedy. Manny ran it, and it was pretty much an empty crowd, and it was just Mencia and his boys at a table in the back, and I just got no laughs for 10 minutes. They probably didn't even pay attention to me enough. I think they were like just dudes in Miami kind of trying to get pussy. And
so they were audience members?
Yeah.
They were there. Yeah.
Oh,
Because Cisco used to bring Mencia around like all the time.
Oh, true.
Oh, nice. Shout out Cisco, man.
So like before I go on stage, like 2 minutes before I go up, I'm about to go up, somebody goes, Mencia's here. I was like, oh shit, dude.
Like, no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. You still want to crush in front of, Mencia.
Yeah, of course.
Hell yeah.
Anybody of that stature.
Then you bomb and you're like, good. He doesn't even think the jokes are good anymore.
He's like, he's not going to take any of those.
He's not going to take them. I see him next week. He's got a cane. I'm like, God damn it.
He's doing an entire hour on blind material.
Yeah.
You're like, wait,
You're the blind Mexican,
I felt that way. Like, Hannibal Buress has a special where he does like 5 minutes of like, man, imagine if I lost my sight, and he does 5 minutes of better material than I wrote for the first 6 years of my life. I was like, God damn it, dude, I'll never do what he did. He just was like, a candle shop. Oh my God, talk about sensory overload. And I was like, God damn it, dude. Fucking hilarious.
That's awesome, dude. Honestly, big shout out to Hannibal. He's one of the few comics that comes down here and like
loves
does Miami.
Miami.
Yeah, and he does Miami, like
Loves
legit.
it.
That's fucking dope, man.
He filmed his last special there.
Yeah, 100%. Moving on though, tonight, guys, we have over in Miami Beach our favorite show that happens in Miami Beach on a Monday, and that's Bay Club, guys. We've had Will on the show. You've maybe seen his interview. If you haven't, you can go back and watch that interview right now on our page. He gave a lot of insight on just like the ins and outs and how Bay Club works. We love that room. Every time we go, it's always packed out, and I think they're like continuing that 8-year anniversary celebration going into this week. It's kind of like a girl's like birthday month type celebration where
Will is totally celebrate me for a whole year energy. Like it's my I'm turning 30, it's my year,
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's good because it's celebrating Bay Clubs like birthday.
Absolutely,
so we can all partake in the celebration. But it's nice to see what they're doing out there. Chris, you've actually done the room.
Bay Club's great.
Yeah,
it's a great room, super good. Always packed. People love the pizza, and the crowd's like fire for South Beach. You would think they're like kind of, sometimes you get a lot of tourists in South Beach that maybe don't even understand what you're saying and stuff, but no, it's always like a good rowdy crowd of like fun people.
Yeah, 100%. And it's really dope that it is always a like packed crowd. Like anytime you go out there, you get booked on the show, you're like not only going to get good pizza, but you're going to get a good audience.
Yeah, apparently it's like the best pizza on
it
the
is.
Yeah.
Apparently it is. Yeah. I mean, I've tried it a few times and it's fantastic. Every time I've had it, I mean, I want to go and look at their menu because I know they have like specialty pizzas that like are like off the chain with like different kinds of like prosciutto and like things like that. So big shout out to Bacon.
Well, and I'll say this, like Will said it when he was on the show, any comedian that wants to go hang out, like he has has a comedian tab, he'll get you a drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He buys a pizza or two for everyone to try, new flavors, new things. So they have a whole table just for comedians.
Right.
So if you're not comedian, if you're not performing, come out, hang out, have a good time. It's dope. He makes it really dope.
I mean, that's how you should get to know people anyway.
Right.
On
Yeah.
their show.
No, great. And he always books like good comics. Like sometimes there's a lot of out of town comics that come in and do the show as well. So you
Always,
can network like that. So
Yeah.
it's really, really dope. Quickly, I want to go back to the recap for last week, guys. And last week we also had an amazing show on Thursday over in Coconut Grove at Barry's in the Grove, guys. That was with Cafecito Comedy. Huge shout out to Barry's, man. It was not only a great evening in terms of everything went super smooth. The lights, the sound, everything was super great, but our lineup went out and killed it on that evening, guys. It was myself, Eric Rosenblum, Grace Kelly, Ben Smith, and Clyde Gordon.
Nice.
All performed on that show. The audience was there, loving it the whole time. We are really excited to continue working with Barry's in the future. And man, big shout out to management and big shout out to everybody that took care of us there as well, because we had I had a tuna melt from there for the first time, and you would think, man, a tuna melt from a restaurant, I don't know, it was off the charts. It was so freaking good, man. I couldn't be happier with everything that I've ever gotten from Barry's, to be honest. The food there is fantastic.
This was go ahead.
I can't eat at shows.
Really?
I can't be the fat comic eating at shows. It's just hard. It never looks good. People just see it and they go, yeah, that makes sense.
Like, he's gonna be funny because he's fat and he's eating.
He's like getting fatter for us. Like, that's amazing.
Well, and shout out. I mean, this was the second show you guys did at Barry's, right?
Yeah.
And so obviously they're going to continue. So that's good. You know, that's the goal, is let's get these big, kind of high value rooms. Because you can sit a bunch of people in there. They have 2 floors in that room, I guess. So, shout out to Barry, shout out to Cafecito Comedy, man. Like to see it.
Heck yeah, man. And I'm really excited to see where that room goes, because we're doing it now, different day of the week. We're packing it out. So the more that we build this room, guys, you do not want to miss these next shows that we have coming up. The lineups are going to be top notch. The environment's going to be great. And we're actually also giving out free tickets to future Cafecito Comedy shows. So we do shows at the Miami Improv. We do shows all around town. Sometimes they're paid shows. We give out free tickets for admission to those future free shows if you come and watch it. So not only if you come to one of these Barry shows will you be able to get to enjoy that one that night, but you also get access to a future show that could be even better than the one that you're getting that one evening. So definitely come out to Barry's. Next time we have a date locked down, we're going to let you know right here on the comedy calendar.
I should have worn my Cafecito Comedy shirt.
Yeah, man.
I know I got one, and it's somewhere in my rotation. So like 1 out of 12 days, I'm like, oh shit, I'm representing, dude.
That's what's up.
Like, I never know, Like,
hell yeah. If you're ever wearing the shirt and you're out and you get a picture, tag us. We'll repost it. We'll make sure. We always love seeing comics wearing the shirt and repping and then tagging it, bro.
Well, and any comics that notice that Chris is wearing a shirt, just take a picture of him and send it to us. You know what I mean? Like, true. That's going to be our first line of defense right there. And speaking of shirts, shout out Francisco Ramos. He gave me this shirt last week at his show.
Nice.
So pretty nice, wearing it for the first time. It says smile or don't.
That's great. Moving on to Tuesday, though, at the Miami Improv, guys, we have an improvised comedy show. And this is one that I am so excited for. We have the Riff Roulette happening over at the Miami Improv, guys. This show, we had Shannon on last week, and we talked to her about kind of how it came about, the shows that they're running in Boca, and how we got it to the Miami Improv. And it is finally the week of the event, guys. There is links to a free ticket admission RSVP list on Eventbrite that you can get if you go to my story at Sebi the Comedian on Instagram, or you can also go to Shannon Lalim's page. We have the links and all of the Eventbrite information there. If you want to reach out to us, you can, and just come out to the show, guys. Come out and enjoy. This is an open invitation to everybody on the comedy calendar page to come out and watch the show. Not only do we need you there for good energy and good vibes, but we also need you there to give us suggestions, guys. The suggestions come from you. So our improvised sets on stage that we're going to be coming up with on the spot are going to be provided suggestions by the audience. So we need you guys there to participate, to have a really, really good time. And I couldn't recommend a show at the Miami Improv anymore, because Shannon and Eric and Casey always put together a really, really great time. So definitely come out.
And it's going to be unlike any show, any comedy show you've really been to, unless you've been to a Riff Roulette. It's going to be, we have Daniela Delfino, Sergio Mendez, Sebastian, you'll be there, Eric Graff, Casey Graves, Shannon Lalim, all people that are great on their toes, people that are going to, great just improvising, getting just ramping up the funniness as the night goes along, you know. So come out. Now you have the Eventbrite link, so that's some free tickets that we're going to be giving away. So there's no excuse. Come out and support.
Yeah, it's always fun. People like get involved with it when they like they're like more invested because it's their suggestions and things like that. So like everyone has a fun time, and it usually like compounds really well into like a great crowd.
That's awesome. and it's really dope because the way that it is, like the way it's structured, it gives the comic a lot of control over the pace of like an improvised set, because you basically are given like, it's like 15 suggestions or 10 minutes is however you want to divvy it up. So like if you want to run off for 10 minutes on one topic, you can do that if like if you're really going and you're feeling it, or you can kind of bounce around, you can go back to other stuff. So it's a really fun structure for a show that you don't really get to see a lot. And these guys are usually operating outside of Boca and like more northern parts of the South Florida area. So for you guys to get that show down in Doral, it's really a treat, and I highly recommend you come out and support the Riff Roulette happening Miami Improv on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Be there, guys, please. Moving on to Wednesday, though, we have the New Faces of Comedy, guys. This is our favorite show that happens over at the Miami Improv every single month, because we get to see our friends and ourselves go up and perform for our friends and family and more people. Because for you guys as Comedy Calendar fans, guess what? You get to attend the show for free, guys. If you just say Comedy Calendar, you say Art's name, you say my name at the door, you can get in for free and be able to watch the New Faces of Comedy show, guys. Every single month, we always try and pack it out so that we can make sure that everybody has a really good time. And if you're a comic and you want to sign up, don't forget, you can always go to the email, and you can email newfacesfl@gmail.com if you want to apply. There may still be slots available for Wednesday. I'm not 100% sure. If you don't get a response, usually it's because the slots have filled out, but by all means, still reach out. We will have Dan Dart Vision, the guy who you saw put together that B-roll from Steve Trevino's clip earlier, and our photographer, any of the content that you really see that is of high quality on either me or Art's Instagrams and a lot of South Florida Comedy's Instagrams, it is Dart Vision. He's going to be there. He's going to be not only filming sets, but he's going to be taking pictures of sets. So if you guys come and you're a comic and you perform, you can still get that content given back to you and captured in a really high quality way. So highly recommend you guys coming out and enjoying the New Faces. Chris, have you ever done New Faces?
When I started, we didn't have an improv for like 5 years.
Oh, interesting.
It was like the between period of like
when it was in like the Hard Rock and stuff.
In Fort Lauderdale, yeah, I guess.
Although after the Grove, but before the Hard Rock.
Yeah, after the Grove. I mean, we had the West Palm Improv.
Yeah,
and I think that was pretty much it. I think Dania maybe started a little up. So for like my first 4 years, there wasn't a lot of new. We weren't going to drive to West Palm,
right?
Yeah. Try to get 10 people,
of course.
You know,
yeah. Or like drive up to West Palm, don't get 10 people, and then it's like, oh my god, like we just wasted 3 hours like coming up here.
No, we wasted 3 hours doing other shows. Yeah. But yeah, no. So we didn't even really have it, and then when it came around, it was just like not a thing. But it's a great resource. I'm glad
you were an old face by then.
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
Oh, I will say this, and when Ellie was on the show, she does like at least 2 or 3 guest spots every month on every show, on the show. So if you hit her up ahead of time, and I know like some of the more seasoned comedians, like that's available to them, where if you hit her up ahead of time for like one of these months, she might be able to give you like a 7-minute spot or something. Because like sometimes when they do the lineup, she knows kind of who's good and who's bad, and she might throw you in to kind of like bring the crowd back up, after a couple of people. So it's just something she mentioned here, and definitely, if you're looking to do it one day, definitely worth doing it.
Yeah. No, it's a great room, and like seriously a great resource to have. Like you guys have such an awesome opportunity. Both of you work at the Improv, and like what a resource you guys have for sure, dude.
No, and even now, like when we started, we already had basically both improvs, the what's now Fort Lauderdale Improv and the Miami Improv. They're active and wanting to be involved, and the Palm Beach is active and doing some things to the point that Sebi got booked and got to open a couple of times up there already. So definitely, standing on shoulders of giants. Very thankful for it.
Super good. No, like I mean, you're doing weekends at
I'm trying, man.
at an awesome club, dude.
Yeah, man. I'm trying.
What like for how long you've been here, that's an awesome thing to have.
Thank you. And honestly, it is all thanks to the Improv and kind of the infrastructure that they created, because it is one thing to to be there, but there is still like there's a path to getting to that point.
Yeah.
You know, like for other comics, there's they you know, a lot of people ask me like, oh, how do I get booked at the Improv? How do I do this? How do I do that? And like it really is a lot of, you have to not only be active in the community, like you have like if you're doing your thing and you're super funny and you're producing these great shows and you're doing this thing, like word will get back to them.
Right.
You know, at some point, like management or somebody, if it's not myself, if it's not Ellie who's working new faces, if it's not, you know, Art or whomever, like there's a lot of comedians that go through that place, like word will get out there. So if you're not an active like member of the community, if you're not doing stuff, then you're kind of SOL in that sense, but also being active at the club. So Ellie even said this when she was on the show, that she was like, the new faces is where they can see,
Absolutely.
Can you bring people,
Yeah.
and B, are you funny?
Yeah.
So if you're somebody that can do both of those jobs and you do it consistently at the new faces, I mean, me and Art have both seen people literally do 2 or 3 new faces back to back, where they bring a, like, you know, 30, 40, 50 people to the new faces. They go up at the main spot. They do pretty good. And it's like management, they get the list at the end of the night and they're like, oh, wow, this guy brought half the crowd. Like, oh, like who is this guy? Like,
Yeah.
they get those numbers, and that like it matters. So
It's what really matters.
it's what really exactly. It's what really
Actually, the
matters.
only thing that matters.
Yeah, and so people have gotten shows based off of that. You got guys like Emmanuel Carey, who started off at the West Palm Improv and packed that out for new faces and did that a few times, came to Miami, did that new faces and brought a lot of people a bunch of times, and then was able to get a show and has done now 2 shows or 2 or 3.
traveling.
And now he's traveling and doing things like that. So like there's a clear path to getting to that point, and it's really involved in just being there at the club. And I'm blessed that I have, you know, I get paid to be there,
Yeah.
you know, and to be involved.
And I'll shout out one other thing too. When I said standing on shoulders of giants, I meant literally like actual people. And one of those people is Luis Diaz, for example, who's someone who, you know, he started working there.
Yeah, he was the sound guy.
Yeah, I know.
And started doing comedy, and it started, you know, getting bigger and bigger, putting the work in, creating the value for the Improv, and creating that like cycle back, you know. And us coming in, we started after he had already started doing that, so it created some pathways.
Yeah.
Even when I started, you know, I was hanging out at the Improv, and I met management, and I told them, hey, I'm doing every new faces. You're gonna see me here a lot. I hope you guys are okay with that, you know. And then I did it, and then months and months later, it led to me ultimately one day getting a job because I was there, and you know, so. Yeah, it's a lot of work that you put in, but luckily we're at a point now where we have some people that have kind of done it, and you can't follow the exact thing they've done, but it definitely helps serve as a model of things that can lead to success, you know.
No, 100%, 100%.
So doing new faces.
Yeah. If you're a comic out there doing new faces, I highly recommend.
Don't ever listen to me on anything. I'm actually the wrong model.
no, but honestly, but definitely like invitation extended. I would give up my guest set for the evening for you to come through and do a new faces. For real.
Yeah, dude, no problem.
Because it is a really dope thing, and also like we were saying, Dan gets to film your set, so
in
like
front of 150,
and
200 people.
in front of like a pretty good like improv crowd. So regardless, you get if you do well, that's a good clip. Like
Which is the best.
At minimum, like, you know, you get a good clip. You came out, you did your thing for the night. So highly recommend everybody who is out there, again, signing up for the new faces at least once, especially if you're a newer comic. That's the other thing too, not only for like people on Chris's end of the spectrum, but also the newer comics. Going to the new faces and trying out your material in front of a legitimate crowd is something that I always say is kind of like a bit of a booster, because sometimes you're locked into that like Taurus. You've been doing shows where as a newer comic, it's really difficult to get the reactions you need. As a seasoned comic, as like any 3 of us go up at Taurus, we can easily have a good set without material.
We can easily have a bad set as well.
No, 100.
But a newer comic has no chance.
Right, 100%.
Yeah.
But like for a newer comic, sometimes you get that, like, you get into that cycle of just like, you know, oh, this joke didn't work. Oh, this joke didn't work. Or I'm not getting the laughs I want. Or I'm not getting the reaction I want. And then you go and you do the new faces and you do that same joke, and it actually gets a pop because there's people sitting and listening, and there's like,
It definitely helps you see. Yeah, it definitely helps you see what's good and not good better than some bar crowds, for sure. You know, a club is going to be.
So for newer comics, it is a good tool.
And the last thing I'll say is, any comic at any level, if they have apprehensions about it, one, hit me up. I like, there's a bunch of information that we can give out. There's a bunch of things that you're worried about that we have ways to mitigate those things.
Yeah.
And just hit me up. I mean, just come out, have a good time.
Shout out, man. Moving on to Thursday, though, at the Miami Improv, guys, at 8 p.m., we have a local legend coming through and headlining, man. I'm so happy to have him back at the Miami Improv, and that is Nick Souffrant. Yes, Mr. I Will Bench Your Girl.
Oh, yeah. No, ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
you used his government name, and I get it. That's his name now.
I was gonna say, I think he's going by Nick Souffrant now, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely on the billing, it says his full name.
Yeah, right.
100%.
I would not dox a man like that.
But you're like, have you ever worked with him? And I was like, I just known him forever.
But huge shout out to Nick, man. He is headlining the Miami Improv on Thursday, and we are so excited to have him back at the club and doing his thing, man. It's going to be a packed out show, so if you want to come see one of the funniest comedians that's working down here in South Florida, get your tickets right now, MiamiImprov.com. He is the man. I believe he has links in his bio and in his Instagram page as well for any of the information that you would need for the show. So you can definitely head on down there and get your tickets right now, because that show is going to be close to sold out by the time it comes around. So,
and another one of those use cases, someone who started doing. I haven't asked him if he's done a New Faces, but he's been around doing all the scene, doing everything up a little bit by little bit, opening for everyone, and now look at him.
Yeah, man, he like was always a guy that was pushing. He was always doing shows at the Improv. Like he could get people out when other people couldn't. He would pack it out. Like he was like the definition of like, puts asses in seats. Like that he deserves everything. He's a great comic.
Shout out Nick, man.
Heck yeah.
Do you know by any chance who would be open for him? I didn't have the information before the show started.
I'm not sure on
Well, next week's recap will definitely shout them out.
Heck yeah.
Art and Sebi are gonna fight for it.
Dude, every time, you have no idea. We have a kiddie pool full of mud in the back. And
Moving on to the weekend at the Miami Improv, though, guys. Friday and Saturday, we have a Latin comic coming through. I believe, Art, you have some more information on that?
Sí, Sebastián, tenemos Chente y Drac. Hace semanas que estamos hablando de ese comediante puertorriqueño. Hace 5 años que está como fuera de haciendo comedia, no hace comedia, pero es un comediante súper chévere, actor, influencer. Él trabaja con el Comedy Ring, que es un grupo de eventos y de comedias por todo el mundo. Trabaja con varios comediantes que vienen. En junio, ellos vienen otra vez, entonces va a haber un show entero sobre ellos. Y si Dios quiera, los tenemos aquí en el estudio para entrevistarlos. Él es conocido por su estilo único de contar historias y su perspectiva hiperpersonal. Entonces, súper chévere. Shout out al Chente y Drac. Es alguien que viernes y sábado va a estar en el Miami Improv, 4 shows.
Yeah.
Kind of felt like you lost it at the end there, dude. All right,
Yeah.
like it almost went into Spanglish. Or
That was the Portuguese slipping.
Well, we have an old habit here at the Comedy Calendar. Since I am not even of a Hispanic country, but I have to do all the Spanish work, they all start jumping around and trying to distract me.
Aren't you Brazilian?
Yeah, but they all
Spanish country, kind of, right?
No, Chris,
it's Portuguese.
Yeah, so
I know. I understand that. I understand that it's a different language.
So they all make it impossible for me by distracting me in every possible way. Instead of just sitting there quietly like I do when they're talking.
I was really quiet.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So they like to make it extra hard on me, Chris.
I didn't make a sound. I didn't make a sound, bro.
But shout out Chente. He's going to be a great show. I'm looking forward to being there.
Can't wait. Moving on, though, to the Fort Lauderdale Improv this weekend, guys. We have an amazing headliner coming through, doing Thursday through Sunday. It's a full weekend, and if it's a full weekend, that means tickets are selling fast, so you want to get tickets right now. If they've expanded to that length, guys, you do not want to miss these shows. We got Ari Shaffir, the farewell tour, coming through to the Fort Lauderdale Improv, guys. He recently came to the Miami Improv. I was lucky enough, and I was blessed enough to host for him and Bobby Kelly when they came through. They were actually going to Cuba. They were en route to Cuba, and they did a one-nighter here in Miami at the Miami Improv, just on a random Sunday. This time, though, Ari's going to be over at the Fort Lauderdale Improv all weekend, guys, and you do not want to miss this. At some point, you want to get out there. You want to go catch these shows. Hopefully, we'll have some really, really great recaps to give you from those shows next week.
But I'll say this. We had a lot of people reaching out to me asking me, like, hey, do you have, can you do anything? I cannot do anything for you at the Fort Lauderdale Improv for that show. He's going to sell out. There's not going to be even standing room.
If it was at Miami, we were going to be sold out, and you were going to have nothing we could have helped you with. So
but at least in Miami, if you come for standby, I can have you. True. But in Fort Lauderdale, if you have any hesitations, buy the tickets now.
Yeah.
Get your tickets.
Fort Lauderdale Improv.com.
He's going away too.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like he's gonna take like a year.
And you can definitely, if you buy 4 tickets, you can find, like, hit up the comedy calendar. I will send 2 friends. I can find 2 people to go with you if you can't find 2 friends to go with you.
100%. 100%. Couldn't agree more.
Chris, do you have any inside information on the show?
I think Sebi's opening. He's hosting. So go see Sebi host for
100%.
100%.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
There we go.
We're manifesting it right now.
It's happening.
He crushed from last time he did it. Why not? You know.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Chris was at that show when we did it here. When they did it here in Miami, and it was a great night, man.
I've never been more jealous of you in my entire life. I need you to understand.
Bro, me neither, dog. Like,
that was the best. That was honestly the best opportunity I think I've got.
I go back there. I pop my head in real quick, and I'm like, "You guys need anything?" And he's sitting there with Ari and Bobby, like they're all just chatting it up, having a good time. Like, he's like, wakes me off, like, "Nah, we're good." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
No, I can't come in for a second. No, get out of here, Ari.
Ari, isn't there something at the front you got? But yeah, man, that is hopefully what we will have happening. We'll have a little behind the scenes recap, hopefully, if I'm hosting out there at the Fort Lauderdale Improv for this weekend, guys. But get your tickets right now. Sunday, though, we move on to Sunday at the Miami Improv at 7 p.m. We got a great show happening. An LA comic is coming into town. He was recently here opening for another headliner, and now he gets his own evening. Well deserved. That is Jack Jr., guys. You do not want to miss Jack, guys. His set that we saw the other evening when he was opening was really, really good, but I'm honestly looking forward to seeing him headline and getting a full time slot to just go in and bring out a crowd of his own. It's going to be really, really fun. You actually got to hang out with him a little bit when he was last year. So do you have any more information on that show?
So we first heard of Jack Jr. when Dean was being interviewed, Dean Gonzalez.
That's right.
And he mentioned that that he met Jack a couple of years ago, and that
he
kind of looked out.
Came through here a couple of years back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So then that week, Jack actually flew in, and he was part of. He was, like you said, he opened for somebody, so it was really cool. And he mentioned that he was going to be coming back to headline. So we talked about him a couple of times, but big shout out to Jack Jr., Armenian comic, Armenian Mexican, I believe, and just a good guy, great guy. Can't wait till he's going to be flying in late, right before the show starts, so he won't be here a long time. But hopefully next week we'll get a chance to see him out, maybe hit a couple of spots.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Be there Sunday, guys, 7 p.m. Miami Improv. You don't want to miss it. Get your tickets right now, miamiimprov.com. Now we move into our look ahead portion of the interview, guys. And the look ahead today is a really special one for me because I am really excited to see this guy doing his thing out there in the new lands, baby. That is Rodney Badger is going to be performing at the Tuga Comedy Club, guys. Tuga Comedy is a newer comedy club that's opening in the Bahamas. They just recently did their first weekend of shows, and it went extremely, extremely well. They're producing a lot of great content and a lot of great shows down there. This one specifically is going to be April 11th and 12th, and I wish I could be out there and be watching Rodney do his thing and kind of headline. If you don't know about Rodney Badger, guys, he is an absolute killer, and it is really, really great to see him doing his thing out there in the Bahamas. Big shout out to Tuga Comedy Club for creating an infrastructure and a place for comics to perform in the Bahamas.
I remember when he did his last Have-Nots, like before he kind of moved to the Bahamas, and we talked about him going down there and inevitably kind of helping boost the comedy scene down there. So here's kind of the results of that. He's been back and forth a couple of times, killed it over here. And now, I'm happy to see the Bahamas kind of starting to pick up. But I'd love to have an excuse to take the comedy calendar down to the Bahamas and extend South Florida. Yeah,
we may have to interview Rodney Badger in the Bahamas on the beach.
Yeah,
you guys got to get a sponsorship for that. But
we're gonna get a Coronita.
Seems chill.
Coronita.
How about you guys in the back? You guys down to travel to the Bahamas and do this down there one time?
Yeah. All right. I really hope that got picked up on the microphones. That sound that our producer Julian just made. That was incredible.
Guys, this is Comedy Sports Center, huh?
Yeah. Right now
we're doing here.
Right now it's Comedy Sports.
You guys
Center.
could do this for like a more profitable thing than comedy. Just read some sports scores.
Exactly. Dude, that's what I used to.
That's what Sebastian started.
I used to do in radio. Literally the exact thing. But we got one more look ahead, guys, for early April over at Off the Hook Comedy Club. Art has all the information on that because he is going to be at those shows performing. Tell me more about it, Art.
I'm the most excited about this show on this week's episode. Tina Frimmel is coming to Off the Hook Comedy Club in Naples, April 2nd, April 3rd. I met her when she was in Miami a couple of months back, and I met Dennis, the manager Off the Hook, at the Improv a couple of months back as well. And when I saw it on the calendar, I just kind of reached out and got the spot. So I'm very thankful for both of them for letting me do this. It'll be the first time I'm performing at Off the Hook. So I'm excited. It'll be 2 days of going over there. I'm taking Dark Vision with me. So we'll definitely have some cool footage and some cool recaps to show you guys next week or the week after.
Dope. Chris, have you ever done Off the Hook?
No, I've never done Off the Hook.
Interesting. Dude, I haven't been out there either. I've never even seen a show there.
Yeah, it seems hard for me to get there.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dennis, the manager, he's a guy who's, from what I understand, last time I talked to him, Chris Kimback,
super funny,
is living with Dennis right now. It's not to put their business out there, sorry, but basically, like, a lot of South
gay
Florida
romance. Let's say it. Put all cards on the table, dude.
So I just mean to say that definitely some of the South Florida work that we've done, is getting kind of translated over there. So if nothing else from this clip, they'll definitely see this clip, Chris, and I cannot recommend
Chris Silio many highly.
Dude, I'm out of here, dude. I'm burning all the bridges before I leave, dude.
But yeah, definitely shout out, and I'm excited for next week. So definitely cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That does conclude the calendar portion of our show today, guys. But we, as we quickly transition into the interview, I think Chris just mentioned kind of where I wanted to start, which is, Chris, you are moving.
Yeah.
Correct? And you are getting out of here. You are moving with another one of our comic friends. You and Alex Tarno. You guys are going to Austin, right?
Yeah, we're moving to Austin.
Dude, congratulations, first of all. That's so great to hear, because I really think that somebody like you in that environment in Austin, getting those reps in, like getting the attention from the right crowds is going to be incredible, man. I think you're going to kill it out there.
It just seems more chill than New York or LA. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a blind stoner. I can't live in LA. I already think the smoke is my smoke, Like, I wouldn't even know a fire's coming. I'd be like, that's probably me. I would get eaten up by a wildfire so fast. I'm like, I'm gonna run away from the heat.
Nice. How long have you been thinking about moving, and when did you kind of like come to the decision that you were like, yeah, man, Austin?
Yeah, I've been trying to move for pretty much my entire career. Here, me and a couple of my friends, we were like building a school bus for a while.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
And we just ended up being in different places and not continuing with that.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great idea to leave. We really wanted to leave.
Yeah.
But after that, I was just doing a bunch of comedy here, and it's been time. So
gotcha.
We were just working on it's actually much cheaper to live in Austin, apparently.
I can imagine. I mean, Miami market is absolutely insane, but it's really dope to hear you say that you're kind of choosing that spot to go out there, obviously, because Austin right now is the hotbed of comedy in the world, really. Like, there's nowhere else in the world that if you're a comic, you'd rather live. And I think for you, when you look at like what you're going to do going out there, what are some of the things that is on your mind in terms of like, do you have certain shows or like people that you've connected with that you're like, yo, they're gonna get me on shows, or is there like what's your strategy?
Yeah, I have some people out there, I guess I know some homies that are still out there, but I don't know if I'd have any connections or anything, which would be interesting. That'll be fun to like go and do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Just like work up from the bottom, but obviously just try to show up to Kill Tony every week, and hopefully that works out.
Yeah,
cool.
One of the things that I think that definitely, from what I've seen and kind of heard, all the Miami guys that go to Austin, when you have that Miami hustle in you, right? So you're going to be used to just going out every night, working and pushing, meeting new people, trying new stages. So I think that's something that's going to serve you guys very, very well And you know, it's like whatever the differences we have when we're here at home. Whenever I meet somebody from Miami, outside of Miami, there's always like, oh, you're from Miami, oh, dude. So you know, I'd love to see more of that in Austin, with the gelling of the Miami people, and I think with you guys being there, you and Taurus specifically, you know, you guys get along with everybody. So I think it brings a lot of people together that wouldn't necessarily have come together before, but you guys can have that kind of energy where it's like it brings and it unites them a little bit more, you know?
Yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, like, I'm super grateful for my time here. I do think that Miami's like an awesome place to learn how to do comedy. Like I always said, it's like running with weights on in a swamp. Really, you know, because it's just audiences are so kind of rough here, you know, like we all know what it's like. People are just kind of every time you get on stage in Miami, somebody thinks, who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck is he talking to me right now, dude? You know, like mostly, you know, if you're not at the Improv or, you know, but most of the time that's the vibe. So it's always a fight, and like no, it's great. It's great to like get in fighting shape.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, when I want to take it back in time a little bit. So when I first started doing comedy a couple years ago, you know, you got like I'll start with Tarno specifically, but I remember Tarno at Thank You Miami one time. I was there, kind of nervous. Okay, and then Tarno like took his shirt off, you know, and like blew the room apart, and I was just, it gave me such inspiration knowing that, okay, hold on. Look at these guys. Like, I'm never going to be the style that Tarno is, for example. But look at this guy killing this room. You know, there is a skill to this. There's a way you can get up to it. You know.
Yeah, taking off your shirt is a skill. I agree. I've been saying that for years.
but then, and that was like a thank you. But then I went to like these book shows, and at all these book shows I would turn, you would be there. You know, and you'd be doing 10s, 15s, 20s. I mean, you looked comfortable on stage. You looked like you. And sometimes the audience would kind of take you off what you were doing, and you would rip with them for a little bit. And it kind of showed me like, okay, there's this next level community in Miami of comedians who get the craft. They're not like trying to figure out how to write a joke. They know how to write jokes. What they're trying to do is that next level, like put the business and the art together and make a living from it, and you know, do something else. And watching you get booked over and over was one of those things that pushed me like, okay, I can do this. Like there's people in this community, this work translates to the next level. It can definitely translate if we leave Miami, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I did it all without any of the business side of it. You know, I actively was not very good at it, but I'm still bad at it. I just say yes to shows, and like, which is a good thing. I do think people should just say yes to things, but I still just say yes to shows, and then they go, oh, we're gonna pay you, and I'm like, oh, cool.
Nice.
You know, like, I'm like, I probably should figure out how to be like, hey, money first, whatever. But
But you say that about the business aspect, but one of the main things with business is building people around you. And I think that you've always had, and you have, not like, you know, you're moving with somebody, for example, you know, you always have people around you who are the best as far as quality in comedy. I mean, they're the guys that are like the funniest.
That's all I ever wanted to do, was be around hilarious people. You know,
and you have the respect from all of those guys, because I think all, you know, if we're ever in a situation where it's like we're setting up a lineup or something, it's like no, let Chris end it. Like he's gonna kill this. You know what I mean? Like, and having that respect from your peers is something that I strive for. Like I want my peers to recognize that I'm good, especially better than them. You know what I mean?
That's what that's. I mean, that's all it is. You know, we all just want that, and like that's like all I did comedy for, was like to crush harder than the next guy, or like to try to do as good as people I looked up to. You know, when I first started, that there were like, you know, obviously like Ricky Cruz, and like there was a ton of people, Eric Da Silva back in the day. Cisco used to just, there was a bunch of really good comics, Kyle Grooms.
Yes.
You know, super good comics to look up to.
One of the reasons I said, I wanted to start this podcast, obviously to talk about the weekly stuff going on, but also is to lock in like some of the history. Like you just mentioned, like Cisco used to bring Mencia all the time. Like that's never been said anywhere. I mean, some people in the community know that, but like those kinds of things, there's a value to knowing how deep Miami like comedy goes, you know, especially like when I meet a lot of openers and I tell them how much comedy we do down here, and they're like, really? I'm like, dude, there's guys down here that could kill you. Like there's guys down here that are way better than you, and you're touring the country already. You know what I mean? So, but it's true. It's like a lot of times we don't get that, you know. And I will say, I'll extend to you any shows you have before you guys leave. Let me know. We'll try to see if we can get Dark Vision there, get some good clips, some good footage of you guys. At least get to Austin with some cool clips and some cool things to show that, you know, a little bit of a CV, of a resume to
I'm working on trying to get all that stuff back up and running, figuring out like what kind of content I want to make again, things like that.
Yeah, dude, and hit the ground running in Austin, man, because there's a lot of energy out there. There's a lot of people that that we know over there. But at the end of the day, I'd love to see that first flyer with your face on it, man. And we'll definitely, make sure you keep us informed. We're gonna be able, we're gonna be shouting you guys. Every show you guys do, we'll shout it out, even if it's over there in Austin.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'm just excited to just do it in a new place. Get to see what that's gonna be like, and just try to tackle a whole bunch of new shows. We like you said, we do comedy every night. That's the goal. Yeah. That's pretty much the.
Do you have a date yet, or like when you guys are leaving, or more? Or less?
June? We don't have a specific date.
And are you and Tarno going to get married before you go, or like how's your family?
That's actually where we're eloping.
It's easier in Texas, I guess.
Yeah, it's cheaper.
I don't think gay marriage is easier in Texas.
But your parents won't be there, so there's less shame.
But we do get to eat all the barbecue. Naked,
Nice. That is Tarno's favorite way to do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sharing a bathroom with Tarno.
That's crazy.
He only jerks off in the bathroom. I'm like, dude, you can't jerk off in our bathroom, dude. Like,
and he was like, what am I gonna do? Not jerk off?
Yeah, I have to be like, you have a bedroom, dude. Why
I'm not
jerk
worried
off in your room, dude?
I'm not worried about Tarno doing a number 3 in the bathroom. I'm worried about him doing a number 2 in the bathroom. Like, dude, that's good.
I am just gonna have to walk into it.
Tarno needs disposable toilets.
Yeah, Tarno is like the dude wipes like ideal.
Yeah.
He should be sponsored by Dude Wipes.
Yeah, he should be sponsored by Dude Wipes, 100%. But so Chris, you said you've been in comedy for 10 years. What got you into comedy? Like, how did you start?
I just was sitting at home, like, so I went blind at 18, and I was kind of just sitting at home, like, oh well, what now? It was my first semester of college. Mm-hmm. I had to drop out for the time because I had just went blind, and I was just sitting there listening to like comedy podcasts, mm-hmm. and I was like, it was something I had wanted to do when I was a kid, but listening to all these podcasts, I was like, yeah, I think this is what I want to do. I was trying to think about like what I can do, as a guy who doesn't have any more vision, mm-hmm. and it seemed easier than like an office job. Like I was like, I think I could do this. I could just write funny things.
Yeah. And
then 6 months later, I was like really thinking about it, and then I like started in April, so it'll be like 10 years next week, pretty much.
Nice.
It was so much fun, man. From the minute I told my first joke, I was like, oh, this is the only thing I want to do. I never went back to college. I was 19 and I was like, this is it. I'm not going to college. And here I am.
Nice.
10 years later.
And so when you first got into comedy, what were the first, like, what's the first spot you ever hit up? Like, what was that night like?
There used to be a place called Artistic Vibes. It was a garage open mic. It was an all arts open mic, mm-hmm. Run by Quills was a comic. She was a comic, and another comic named Xander Ray, I think, helped run it. At least they hosted it together back then, and you would just sign up. It was like a really cool crowd. It was like a bunch of all arts stuff, and like when we first started, there was way more all arts mics. There wasn't a lot of comedy mics when me and Tarno first started, and that's where I actually met Tarno. Was there. They would do a Thursday open mic, and they would always kind of pack out the crowd with just poets and musicians and stuff. So it was like a really good supportive crowd. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I did Taurus.
And Thursdays were never the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's true, because that would have been right around the time that Taurus started.
Yeah, I was doing Taurus all the way. Taurus is the room that I've done probably the most in Miami. And
you did it back when Freddie was still running it?
Yeah.
Shout out Freddie Stebbins.
That was a way different time.
Yeah. What was it like? What was Taurus like back then?
It just was, the show would start at 10:30, sometimes 10:45, and the open mic wouldn't start till 1 a.m. some nights.
Damn.
That's just when the open mic started. And it was still it was chaos. It was like so packed. The front and the back would be packed. And you still just as easily could just eat shit. It was still a really hard room, but it was so much fun. It was like the best. Now they started so much earlier, and I feel weird going up at Taurus at 8:30. I'm like, this isn't right.
You're like, the people are going to show up in an hour. Like, what are we doing?
Well, it's like at 8, the entire audience, like, they are employed people. You know what I mean? So it's like
sometimes, yeah.
By the time you get to like midnight, like 50-50 unemployment. You know what I mean? Some of these people are definitely not employed. By the time you get to 1, 2 a.m., there's definitely no one going to work tomorrow. You know, it's all
right.
The staff has always been the most supportive, you know, of anybody. The staff has listened to us for 10 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say tolerant.
But that's huge. You know, that's all we need is tolerance. You know, like as long as you let us. It's a crazy thing that we do. Like, it's insane that we just are like, hey, businesses, this is a good idea. We're going to say the most crazy shit into a microphone for nothing. You know, sometimes not even funny. You know, and it's like, oh no, but this is a benefit to you to let us say insane stuff into a microphone at your laundromat or your burger restaurant. You know,
the selling point is, and at the end of that, we're gonna have a bunch of random people from the community just show up put their name on a list, and then we have no idea what they're gonna say.
Exactly,
and then it's gonna get
that's what
spicy.
I mean. Oh, my comedy, and not only that, but they're gonna say it, and they're gonna feel so vindicated the whole time. Like, we're just gonna be like, yeah, this is our art. What do you mean? Yeah, I'm allowed to say Nazi pedophiles. You know, like, that's my art. Are you telling me I can't do my art? You know, like businesses. So the ones that put up with it for more than a month, those are to be cherished and heralded, you know? Like,
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Have you ever ran a room?
No. Thank God. It looked too hard. I didn't want to do it. I knew, I mean, everyone around me always, like, would end up hosting, you know?
Right.
But it seemed like a lot of work to make somebody else do to bring me up in between comics and then time people and light people.
Yeah.
Like, nah, you're pretty much running the show then, you know? Like, you don't need me for this, you know? Like, it would be a silly gag.
Yeah, it's an added stress on that person if, you know, they're not the only thing they're not doing is announcing the other person's name, but they have to do everything else in between and walk you up time. You know, it's like,
yeah, I got to guest host with Connie for a few times at her Asking All Them Question shows at Strange Beasts. That's fun because it's a sit down. That's another fun room where they riff stuff. They do a monthly show on Mondays at Strange Beasts in Kendall.
Yeah,
I remember one time at the Field at the Shamrock.
Yeah.
That was one. I think that set was one of like the longer sets I got to see you do because that night was really cool. What is the longest set you've done? I mean, where are you now? Like, where do you feel comfortable? Kind of, because I think I've seen you do 30 minutes. I think is
30 is about like my like that's what I'm shooting for these days. Is like to do 30 minutes, which is crazy. Like it starts when I started, I couldn't do 10. You know, you'd start at 5 and then you work your way up, and then, like 30 is almost like another limit break of it, you know. You're like,
right.
The difference between 20 and 30 is a lot.
Yeah,
you know, like you're like, that's 10 more minutes of good jokes I need to have. You know, like it's still kind of you're like, damn, I gotta do this good. You know, like.
Well, and I asked that completely because as someone who is like trying, you know, like I remember trying to get from like 12 to 15. It felt like, oh, there's 3 more minutes. No. It was a ton more work, a lot of old stuff going out the window, new stuff coming in, you dropping down on how much you have to be able to build it back up, you know? And there's a lot of times when you're up there and it just seems like, dude, like time stops. Like you got the control of the crowd. They're just vibing with you. And it's like, basically you can tell them anything. You could be up there for another hour and they would just keep going. You know what I mean? Like, how did it feel for you?
That's fun. Yeah, that's a fun one. When they're just buying everything and you're like, this is fun. Like everything is agreeing with them. That's the best feeling, you know. You're like, all right, we're gonna have fun tonight, you know. We're just gonna like that's like all we're gonna do is have fun up here and just say funny crazy shit. That's the best.
Hell yeah, bro. And I'm telling you, in Austin I can't wait. I mean, I just can't wait to see you guys there. We're planning a trip to Austin here at some point.
Yeah.
And it makes me happy to know you guys will be there, you know, when we get there. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm doing the Field Irish Pub tomorrow night too.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Gene Harding.
I'm glad I brought it up. All right, awesome. So Gene Harding, who else?
I think Julie Baez is hosting or something.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
It's a good show. Shout out Shamrock. You know?
Yeah, dude.
Nice.
Yeah, well, the last time I saw you there that night that I was talking about, it was Polly Burials, you and David Lucas.
Yeah, David Lucas. That was fun.
That was an awesome show, man.
That was a fun show.
It's a great room. I mean, shout out to those guys. They're doing you know, I mean, it's a restaurant that once a month lets people come in and say the crazy stuff into a mic. But he gets some big headliners and stuff.
Yeah,
it turns into a legit club. Like everyone's
100%.
staring at it. They sell out. All the tables are that. So like, shout out to Shamrock and the Comedy Inn. Also, the Comedy Inn, like when I first started, was my comedy club that I would go to. They would let us stand in the back for free. They would let us watch. Mike would always let us in, you know, and hand us beers as poor broke comics. And then we would, not only the show would end and we would still hang around for hours after and talk to comics or help comics get drugs and then don't see the comics again, you know, like,
amen.
Like they really, that was our version of like getting to see a headliner, you know?
Yeah.
So you guys get to see it every week. We were like, once a month, we'd be like, okay, who's here, you know?
Yeah.
And it'd be awesome names, you know? I've seen Insane. I saw Rich Voss there. I saw the Legion of Skanks there.
Oh, wow.
What?
I saw a bunch of really, really good shows there.
Have you gotten to perform at the Comedy Inn by any chance?
Yeah. I did a weekend opening up for, I don't remember his name, a headliner from like Orlando. And I'm doing another weekend in May. I think. Yeah.
Oh, shout out, Chris.
There you go.
Yeah, it's cool.
You know, you're on the podcast to promote yourself as a comedian, so definitely let us know.
I told you guys, I'm not good at this. Okay? No, May I think I'm doing Comedy Inn with Colin Terrell. It should be fucking awesome. Colin Terrell's a New York
Nice.
comic, so I'm super excited about that.
Dude, that's dope.
Yeah, and I'll find all those flyers to put on the clips to make sure that we have it for the
100%. I love that, man. Chris, kind of in closing here, man, for you as a comedian, you've been doing this for now 10 years. You've kind of been through the gambit of South Florida / Miami comedy, and you're heading out to Austin. Going into this like new space, going to this new city, what do you think is going to be the number one thing that you take from what you've learned in Miami and you're applying it to this new experience?
I think we learned in Miami like how to engage with crowds a little bit better than some of the other places where like people listen better.
Right.
You know, like it's a thing we learn here of like having to be like, you got to make the audience a part of it in Miami in some way, whether that's crowd work or just like asking them a question to get into your joke, you know, like I think that's like a big thing we learned down here of not just like reading off of our phones, you know, like no one here does that. Like really, like very few comics I haven't seen, you know, like comics reading off their phone a lot, but in other places, like that's a thing. Yeah, people just will read off a stool.
Oh, like it's a script. Like they'll literally just be head in the phone the whole time like this. Like I've seen comics just like
Yeah.
You do that here, nobody will ever look at you.
No, immediately after
100%.
they'll say to you like, "Hey, yeah, you looked weird because you were looking at your phone the whole time."
Yeah,
you know, you get the heads up. Well, in New York, we went to New York. I think one night, like 6 out of the 8 people that went ahead of us were looking at their phone the whole time. And it's one thing like, okay, I got a new bit. Let me take it out real quick, look at it, and put it down. No, they were reading from their phones like a script. You know, like no, that doesn't work.
Yeah, so I'm grateful for that. Like I'm super grateful for like
nice
that type of thing. I'm lucky. I never got to read off a paper. Like it just never happened for me. So like I don't really have a problem with like memorizing stuff. Like that's super good. Like because it's actually like won me roast battles that I've done. Yeah, because just the other person's reading from their phone, and I'm just and
you're just machine gunning him.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm good at locking it in a little bit more than like.
Well, I think I never thought about it, but that ties directly to what I was saying earlier about your level of comfort on stage. I never put those two things together until right now, but it's true because like it always was in your head. Was always in your head the whole time. It's not like you have to write it down and remember it and. And I think that adds to the fact of like, you know, how, because like when you get up there, you know, you hear a blind comedian, you're like wondering, hey, what's going to happen? And then you see how in control you are and you just relax and you give in, you forget the fact that it's just, you know, it's just a comedian. You're just ripping on whatever's real for your life, you know?
Yeah, totally. And I still like write, you know, like sometimes I'll still like write on like a computer and stuff, but once I write it, I'll just like toss it. Like, you know, like it's
got you.
Yeah. If I say it on stage, that's how it is. If it gets a laugh, I'm like, okay, cool. categorize it. Boom. You know, like,
and adjust from there. Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. Well, Chris, man, I wish you nothing but the best of luck, man, in Austin. You and Tarno, I'm sure, are going to absolutely kill it. And once you get there, you know, I'm glad we have you guys as ambassadors as well, representing Miami out there in that scene, because you're not the first comics out there, but you also won't be the last. So it's good to see that we actually have some solid soldiers out there doing the thing, man. And I think it's going to be great. I can't wait to see you on Kill Tony. Can't wait to see you doing your
Hopefully.
man. I think.
Oh, dude.
I'm gonna say it right now.
Yeah, just like you're opening up for Shaffir, I'm doing
Chris Silio is doing Kill Tony.
Bro, first round bucket pool. Are you kidding me?
First round bucket pool.
Put Chris Silio, blind comedian. When you write your name in, put Chris, blind comedian, Silio.
No, you can't put blind comedian.
Yeah,
it's gotta be a surprise when he walks out.
I hate, nothing bothers me more than somebody introducing me as a blind comedian.
Oh, bro, on Kill Tony, that sells, bro.
No, man.
On Kill Tony, that sells.
It's got to be a surprise. It's got to be a surprise. But Chris will be on Kill Tony. I promise. Right, saying it right here, right now. We're gonna play this clip whenever you're on.
Yeah,
we'll
get this clip boosted up a bunch afterwards.
Exactly. But
see, he said it the whole time.
I knew it. I knew he was Tony Hinchcliffe.
Sebi Nostradamus Alvarez.
Exactly, man. But yeah, man. Thank you so much for not only just coming on the show and kicking with us today, but for giving us a little bit of information on your background and kind of where your head's at, man. Because you know a lot of comics down here, they really respect you and
thank you guys, dude.
It's cool.
Thank both of you guys.
No, you're welcome,
me
man.
on, dude.
Yeah, and I'll second that, man. I'll say thank you, Chris, for coming on the podcast, man. It's like I said in the beginning, when I started doing comedy, you were one of those guys that I watched up there, and I'm like, okay, this is a skill. This is a skill that you can develop, and you can get really comfortable and kind of graceful in doing something it's very uncomfortable to do, you know. So I appreciate you guys. Like I said earlier, standing on shoulders of giants. You're one of those giants, man. Anything you do, anything we can help with, any support, you know, anything you can send us back this way for us to kind of multiply on our megaphone, dude. You're one of us.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, man. Thank you again, Chris. And thank you guys for tuning into this edition of Comedy Calendar. Again, guys, remember we are brought to you by Heal the Earth Foundation for this episode, guys. And it has been a pleasure having you in here. It's been a pleasure to interview Chris and talk a little bit with my man Art. So remember, guys, as we do every single week, stay tuned and keep laughing.